Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the LaunchPad Associate Workshop presented by the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. We want to welcome Jeffrey Brothers here. He is a customer service agent for the TaylorMade Golf Company. Jeffrey is an associate working his way towards PGA membership, and he's been wonderful enough to present multiple times on the LaunchPad series on the business planning section, facility management. He's going to hear and reprise his representation of great presentation he's given before. He's going to do it again right now. Jeffrey, thank you very much for being on the LaunchPad Associate Workshop Series.
Well, thank you very much, John, and Tom as well. Welcome everyone who's here today. It's a pleasure. I think we started this about maybe just over a year ago or so, and it's been a lot of fun. I think most of you that have done or completing level 1 going to notice that business planning took up 3 days of the week. The other 2 was teaching and coaching. So it's quite a big chunk to really go through in an hour. John likes the expression that I think I brought up before. We talk about how do you get through it? How do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. So that's what we're gonna do here today. And we're going to start with, going to go through the presentation. And as we do, I'm going to bring up each section. So as you know, the business planning model is done in 5 different sections. And we're going to go through each section and then go to the coinciding assignment that goes with it. So what we can do is we can look at how the information or how the, what's being supplied in the manuals and here in the presentation, how that's going to be applicable to the assignments themselves. Interesting, I never did this on video before, so it's being recorded. I'm going to be talking with my hands. So we know the business planning model: define the business, assess the current state of the business, develop business goals, objectives, and related strategies, prepare for financial forecasts and budgets, and monitor performance. Those are the 5 pillars, we're going to say, of the business planning model. And why is it so important? Well, we got a couple of goals we need to hit when running the business. There's financial goals, service goals, trying to get into new trends. And then, we have the tangible items like customer satisfaction, employee engagement, and how do we make our investors or shareholders happy? Some people think shareholders are just people that have, that own the business, but actually shareholders are the employees, shareholders are your customers. Shareholders have a vested interest in the business being successful. So we look at phase 1, which is define the business. Why we're going to define the business? Well, why are we here? What are our customers' expectations? Are we meeting them? Who are our customers? Are we a private club or are we a public facility? Who's coming to give us money to play at our course? And where are they coming from? And who are they? Are they locals? Are they tourists? Are they people coming down from the north, maybe staying in our cities, vacationing for the winter? Who's coming to our courses? What drives us? Why do we exist as a business? What are our core values, and how do we carry those out each day? One of the important ones: how do we make money? Really, without money, you can give the best service and you can have the best product, but also need to make money or the business isn't going to succeed. And making money is what are our core offerings. So are we a golf course? Are we a driving range? Do we have teaching facility? Do we have a coaching program? Or do we offer food and beverage, banquet, F&B? If you hear me say F&B through the presentation here, that's food and beverage. So how are we making money? What's our description? What do we offer? As a description, who are we as a business? Our mission or vision is this. Here's what we want to do. Here's how we're going to do it. You look at what's the market analysis and the geographic location, your customers, competition. It kind of just wraps those other few in a bow. Is who are we competing against for a business? So we look at the surrounding competition. We look at who's coming, who else is going to be going after our customers. So important aspects for really defining your business. And also, we look at defining the business. Well, it's the vision, mission, and values. Vision and mission statement you'll find on page 34 and 44 of the business planning manuals. I'm assuming they haven't changed. I've come through level 3, so I don't think there's been any change in the pages. So the vision is aspirational. It's where do we want to be? So vision is we want as a company to be somewhere at this particular time that's aspirational. It's not usually a short time. It's usually a long time. Our goal is to be the leading golf course for I don't know, teaching and coaching in the southwestern United States. Okay, that's kind of aspirational. It's a bit of a vision. Mission would be how do we get there? We're going to get there by providing, detailed instruction programs, programs for all levels of golfers. We're going to hire and train the right teachers and coaches for our team. It's kind of vision and mission. That's kind of just off the cuff. You might have one that you're working on, depending on the assignment you're working on, whether it's a public or private facility. It should be concise, believable, realistic, relevant, and evolving. You don't want to write a vision that's this big wordy paragraph, because really the people who are working towards it, they have to be the ones carrying out that vision. I think I remember, I guess if I ever take a little snippet from my past, I was once the executive chef at Emirates Golf Club in Dubai, and was part of a culture kind of we were rebranding the whole Dubai golf with a new culture, and our new vision was to be global leaders in delivering memorable golf and leisure experiences. That was the vision. Very easy to remember. So once again, mission as well, concise, realistic. It's how we're going to get there. The values and the business core beliefs. The values are, well, how does your business live, or how do the employees of the business live that vision and mission each day? Your values, what are your values? Are you hardworking? Are you customer focused? Are you loyal? These are values that that are also can be personal or applied towards the business. The core beliefs, they kind of support the values, and those are like how the business runs daily in an operational sense. So the values guide decision making, and they also define the culture of your business. Next would be your strategic planning and goals, which support the vision and mission. So as you can see, we're building a pyramid here. So it's almost a reverse pyramid. So you got the vision and mission. They're up top. Vision, mission. Then we need these values. We need these goals, and then we start breaking it down even more to the foundation. So we got the strategic plan and goals. We got long-term, 3 and 5 year, and goals. These support future business plans. Short-term are usually 1 year operational business objectives, budgets and forecasts. They're really looking at the current state of the business and how do you maximize revenue potential and increase your either customer service or whichever goals you're setting. Then you have your just goals themselves as a broad definition. It can be weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, or annual goals. So everything is kind of building up to that, we'll say the pinnacle, the pyramid. We look at demographics. Well, who are our customers? Where do they live? How old are they? How much money do they make? What are the race, the gender? If you look at slide 8 of the seminar 1, level 1 seminar notes for facility management, you'll be able to see a whole bunch of different demographics that you can kind of use to define who are your customers. Recap of phase 1, we're talking about the vision statement, aspirational. It's where we want to be. It's where we want to go. The mission is how we're going to get there. The vision is I want to go play Pebble Beach. The mission's, well, I got to get a plane ticket and book a tea time and somewhere to stay. The core values of the business, What drives us? What drives the culture of the business? Detailed facility description. You know, what are we offering? What are we here for? Our core business areas, well, what are we selling? Once again, we're F&B. We got an academy. We have croquet on the lawn. We have member. We're a semi-private club. We're a private club. What are we offering our customers as a business? You want to do a market analysis. Who are our customers? Who are we going to serve? Why do we exist as a business? And so that's the end of phase one. So if I look at here, and we're going to get out, and I'm going to bring up the activity one. So here's the activity one. It's really defining the business, and you'll get it. This is just the syllabus of what needs to be kind of facilitated within the assignment. I picked Summit Valley, which was the private club. Core values, there's some here, welcoming, pride, passion, customer focus, and innovative. Those are, some values I chose. You're going to have different ones for your facility. Vision statement. I wrote to be the leading private country club in the United States, providing memorable golf and leisure experiences. So I'm going to piggyback a little bit off the previous kind of work I was fortunate enough to do, and kind of brought that in here and thought it was a good vision. Concise, clear, it explains where we want to be. Here's where we want to be in our competition. Facility profile, it depends on the one you pick. You're going to fill out the different, spaces here. One is, I pick private, you might pick public, and the rest of the information, it's going to be in the case study itself when you go through it. And, a lot of this is just really, it's just doing the research within the, the business planning, case study itself, pulling out, all the information you can, some of the things, I guess, we're just do a quick glance over. We got a clubhouse here, 18-hole championship golf course, updated irrigation system, new pool and aquatics facilities. So what you want to do, remember when you're building your case for when I'll say the rubber hits the road, when you're doing your budget and you're claiming that you're either going to make this much money more, or you're going to not make this much money. The budget always doesn't have to be an increase of revenue. The budget can be a decrease in revenue. Just remember that. You just be able to have to justify it. Well, all that justification comes back to this phase here where you're defining your core business and what it's going to be. And some of the other operations there, you got golf club, defining really this is how we're going to make some money in the future, and some of the great things about the golf course, what's happening now. Culture, you go into and take a little dive. Think about what you want the culture to be at your facility when you're doing your case study. Maybe think about examples of the culture of your workplace now. And so that is kind of level one. Now, the pace of this is going to be, I'm trying to get through it in an hour, but also give, a somewhat detailed explanation of how everything works. And so I'll try to balance both, but if you have any questions afterwards, I'll be sharing my email and phone number at the end of the presentation. Anyway, on to phase two, and we got to assess the current state of the business. And really, how you're going to do it, you got to do it with some data analysis. And this is on page 47 to page 50 of the presentation. And this is done by quantitative and qualitative information. Quantitative is all numbers. It's percentages, it's hard data. You can't really argue it. Numbers is there. We made 20% more revenue next year, than last year. So I don't know, maybe you made $1 million and you made 1.2 million in next year. You can't really argue that. So it's numbers. Qualitative is usually verbal form, customer surveys, reviews, customer feedback. So you can assess the current state of the business, either through the numbers of your financial statements or through the qualitative as well. Are we looking after our customers? And those usually, intermingle somehow, because if you're looking after your customers, they're probably spending more money at your facility. And if you're not looking after your customers, chances are you're not going to have a lot of repeat business coming in. So that will reflect in your quantitative numbers. SWOT analysis, page 47 to 54. SWOT analysis, is a, I'd say, it's a good way to look at the business for sure. There's some other great analysis you can use. I know the PGA specifically focuses on SWOT analysis, but it looks at internal and external factors that influence your business. So internal are going to be your strengths and weaknesses. Internal, you can control. You can control your strengths. You can control your weaknesses. External would be opportunities and threats. You can't really control your opportunities. You can leverage your strengths or improve on your weaknesses to leverage your opportunities, but you can't really say, okay, an opportunity comes up. There's no way you can influence that it exists. Maybe, someone open next to you and you're like, oh, well, we have an opportunity to compete with them. Threats are any direct competition. Just say you work at a big box. Just say you work at the local golf course and you're green grass and you got this great pro shop loaded up with equipment. But then the next big box store opens like a couple 100 meters away, half mile or something. Well, that's a direct threat. You can't really do anything. You can look at how you can leverage your strengths to compete with the big box store, and maybe look at, hey, what are the opportunities that we can go after to kind of mitigate that as well by leveraging our strengths. This assists as a starting point, developing new goals and objectives and strategies on how to achieve them. So once again, talk about internal strengths and weaknesses. Strengths is what the business offers or does better than the competition. You have control over. Weaknesses where the business experiences challenges or falling short, and you do not, or you have control over as well. External opportunities and threats. Opportunities are where can the business excel? How can it enhance its offerings, capitalize on opportunities? Threats are who are the competition and what are they doing? You can't really control them, but you can try to mitigate them by maximizing, once again, leveraging your strengths, minimizing your weaknesses, and pouncing on your opportunities. So a shorter one, recap of phase 2. We have we analyze quantitative and qualitative data and create a SWOT analysis based on your observations. And on to assignment 2. And assignment 2, let's have a look here. And I think I have it right here. So assignment 2, pretty straightforward. Really, you're going to take a deep dive once again into the case study and look at all the things, that you do well and opportunities where you can do better. And then as well, what's the competition and what are they doing? For quantitative items, you want to look at some highlights. I have here for, Summit Valley, there's some increases in revenue and increases, in locker use and upgrades, and, equity, has increased, which has been good. Here's some areas of opportunity. Looks like we're losing a bit of revenue. I think at that one in particular, it was forecasted that the cost of goods was going to go up because I think the previous pro had left and he had some good deals worked out. Then we look at the SWOT analysis, the strengths, and I think once again in the case study they're pretty straightforward. Here's an example of some of the ones I pursued for my assignment, and the weaknesses. And once again, this is all kind of relevant throughout the case study itself. External factors, who's influencing us. Really want to look at, I think there was like a couple of factories being built around, maybe some white collar jobs there. I'm not sure if that's the right term, but executive jobs, I guess we'll say. And who's around the area, who's really, who are your customers for that private club? So, who can you go after? And also, I think there's also a couple upscale communities being built, a few miles away from Summit Valley. Threats, kind of look at the market, what's happening, competition, I think in the case study, it's from athletic clubs and different sports facilities that were around that other people and families can do. And I think there was an increase in family memberships at the club, which really, if your entire family's in golfing, well, some of your competition is going to be external athletic facilities. And that's kind of in a nutshell for assignment 2. And I'm going to get back to our apparently I'm lost here. Bear with me when I get the PowerPoint. Here we are, back in the game. And slideshow. Play from current slide. There we go. And we're going to move on to level 3. So phase 3. We got to develop business goals, objectives, and related strategies. So this is in page 55 to 64 of the business, case manuals. We got goals. Once again, I'm not going to dwell too much on this. Long-term, 3 to 5 years. Short-term, 1 year in operations, 1 year, monthly, quarterly, etc. Goals, you're going to hear this quite a bit from level 1 to level 3. They got to be smart, specific, meaningful, achievable, realistic, and time-orientated. Specific, clearly stated. What is the goal? The goal is we're going to increase our teaching and coaching revenue by 10% by the third quarter of the year. Is it realistic? Yeah, it's realistic. It's only 10%. Well, I guess if you had 0, maybe you'll increase it more, but it has a definite timing. It's a pretty reasonable goal, 10%, and it's time orientated. It's meaningful. We're making more money. Is it achievable? Yeah, we work together as a team. I think we can achieve 10%. It's just one off the cuff again. And the objectives, are answers the question, how are we going to achieve these goals? So the goal is to do this. Here's how we're going to do it. 1, 2, 3. The goal is this. Here's how we're going to do it. 1, 2, 3. We're going to increase teaching and coaching revenue by 10%. How are we going to do it? We're going to offer more programs. They're going to be more family orientated programs, or for all levels of golfers. We're going to purchase technology to have more offerings within our practice facility or teaching and coaching facility. Or we're going to increase our F&B business. We're going to launch new menus. We're going to offer different programs for golf and dining, and we're going to revamp our menus, or we're going to revamp our dining room. Basically objectives are they answer what's the goal, how are we going to do this. These are usually annual or by fiscal year end. Objectives aren't going to be carryover for years and years. It's here's the goal, 1 year, here's how we're going to do it. Now let's move on, let's set a new goal. Strategies answer the question, how are we going to achieve the annual objectives that support the long-term financial goals? So we got the goal is to make more money or to bring in more customers. The objective is here's what's going to happen. Here are the strategies that need to happen. Strategies, they fall under 3 headings. We either got financial, so they're going to affect the income or expenses. They're going to be operational. They're going to affect daily operations, or they're going to be promotional. Sorry. We're going to be marketing. So they're either going to cost you money, going to impact operations or your schedule, or it's going to impact how you market yourself as a business, whether that's social or, traditional form media. A recap of phase 3. So we want to create meaningful goals that support the business vision. We're going to support the goal with annual objectives. The objectives are achieved through strategies that are either financial, operational, or promotional. And that's kind of 3 in a nutshell. And if we look at activity 3 here, activity 3. And the business planning. So here's a couple of strategies, a couple of from mine and objectives. I wanted to convert 15 social memberships to full equity memberships by fiscal year end. That is the objective. 8 individual and 7 family. Member round revenue increases between $28,880 to $54,000 annually. Did that by crunching the numbers. Strategy A, I'm going to offer financial options for potential new members. Strategy B, create new membership categories, including an under 40 or young professional membership or corporate equity membership. What's the type of this? It's promotional financial, promotional financial. I went after tournament revenue, merchandise revenue. I want to increase merchandise by 10% by fiscal year end, from 199,000 to 219,000. How are we going to do it? Increase clothing line for females, junior golfers, and ensure to carry seasonal lines of brands. Negotiate early payment discounts with suppliers and vendors, along with volume purchase discounts, operational, promotional, and financial. And you'll get that information out of the case study as well, depending on which strategies you choose. Remember, once again, we're building the pyramid, so we're keep on building this foundation, is that when you get into the financials of building a budget, this information is this is the stuff that supports whether you're going to hit your numbers or whether you're going to not hit the numbers. So your objective might be, hey, I know we might lose money this year in here, but I got the evidence to support it. Why? Or we're going to make more money, and here's the evidence that supports it. Why? At the end of the day, you got to remember, you got to be able to answer why. So if you're unsure, if you answer why, and you have, here's the item you're working on, your objective. I'm going to do this. Why? And then, well, when you get that answer, why, ask yourself why 5 times. And if you can fill in all those blanks, you got a pretty solid objective and you can defend it, because you're going to need to defend it when you start doing, the phase 5 of the business planning model. And that's really adjusting or figuring out if your budget is going to make it or not. Long as you can defend the numbers, doesn't matter if you forecast making more or making less, long as you can defend the numbers. And then, I wrote a little synopsis here of why it was going to happen. Here's strategy 1, strategy 2, here it's going to happen. Strategy 3, here's why this is going to happen. And then, there's a little piece on the PGA customer relations model, which you're going to touch on, staffing resources. And like I said, all of this here is answering the why of what's going to happen in those future statements. Just got to be able to defend it. And we get back to the slideshow, play from current slide. Okay, we're into phase 4. We got to prepare some financial forecasts and budgets. Page 65 to 92 in the case studies, or in the manuals, I guess we'll say. So we'll look at some key metrics. There's rounds versus yield. How many spaces on your tee sheet, if you're green grass, do you have each day? If your first tee time, just say you're lucky enough not have any, like I previously to working at TaylorMade, I worked at the crossings at Carlsbad. Well, there's no houses there. So we can start tee times at 6 in the morning. You go 6 in the morning to 6 at night, that's a pretty full tee sheet. comes back to, though, how many tee times are you leveraging? Right now, those of us who are in the industry can kind of attest. We're in a boom. So I'm assuming, though I don't like the word, that everyone's kind of rock and roll right now, because golf's kind of crazy right now. So are you getting maximum yield for your maximum rounds? As well, for that yield, are you maximizing your revenue potential? That's a different strategy as well. Am I within my competitors and not outpricing, my product offering? Am I price, is it equal to the value that I'm creating for the customers coming? We look at revenues, how much money are we making? And I think there's definitely there's revenues, which you call top line. There's profit, which is bottom line. You can make a whole bunch of revenue, but you might not make a lot of profit, right? So what the process of ensuring you're making the most amount of profits called managing the middle. The middle is all those expenses between the revenue and the profit. So if you're tasked with making more money, like if you're tasked with making more profit, there's only two ways to make more profit. It's either you make more revenue than previous year and keep the expenses the same, or you make more revenue and lower the expenses. Or if your revenue is going to be lower, somehow you got to lower the expenses so that you're more profitable for the amount of money that you're bringing in. That's really the only ways that you increase the profit. Revenue, profit, two different ball games. Gross margin is your profit from sales. Some of these are, metrics you can look at within the pages. There's a whole bunch of different metrics you can look at to measure if your business is successful, or how you want to measure the success of your business, I guess we could say. Net operating income, you do income left over after all the bills. You got a vertical analysis, horizontal analysis, linear analysis, base year analysis. I'm not going to go through all the definitions of these just for the sake of time, because all the definitions are in this presentation and they're in the manuals as well. We're not going to kill you by PowerPoint here. Cost of goods sold as a percentage of gross margin, and revenue per round are some also metrics you can use once again when justifying when you're writing your budget. We got some assumptions. So forecasting business changes based on internal, external factors. So, when you're looking at, in the business now, what's going to influence if we're able to make more revenue, or what's going to influence our expenses this year? Well, I think a big one right now, really, if you want to talk about, prior to being in the golf industry, I had a very fun career as a chef, and the hospitality industry, which I think, is an umbrella for the golf industry. I think really labor right now, the hospitality industry is struggling. So that's really, it's a factor, right? It's an external factor that is influencing our bottom line. Businesses are having to pay more, maybe offer benefits when, I think pre-COVID, before this boom in golf, and also I think hospitality is going to be turned around as well. Now that, places are opening more, it's a big factor. Internal, if you look at it, you got facility characteristics, what's the conditions of our buildings, how's our customer service, what kind of merchandise are we selling, what resources do we have, what, staff resources. I don't usually write staff. I usually like to write employee or colleague, but I'm going to change that for the next time I present. External, we got market, we got the, customers, we got competition, vendors, what are the product trends, regulatory trends in the golf industry, and local weather can also influence. Really, I moved here from Victoria, British Columbia, just be 3 years in October, and they had one of the biggest heat waves up in British Columbia that I've ever seen. How does that impact your business? The amount of, water you have to put on your facility to make the grass grow. You know, there's definitely some influences here. So you get to validate your assumptions. So if you're going to assume why the business is going to be impacted by one of those internal or external factors, you know, you can run some scenarios, and one would be a sensitivity analysis. And really, sensitivity analysis helps identify the best and worst case scenarios of your business. So, hey, if we were able to increase, we were able to convert, if I go back to the previous assignment, if I've been able to convert this many customers from individual to social, here's the best case scenario. I'm going to make this much money. If I can only convert this many, you know, here's the worst case scenario. And then I can prove to my shareholders, here's the evidence of why we're going to hit these numbers. Creating budgets, page 84 and 85 in the you know, the pages that come with the manuals. You know, forecast revenue expenses for a 12-month fiscal year. Factors to consider: you want to consider the seasons, summer, winter, depending on your area of location, where you're basing your assignment out of. I think these are both in the Midwest, South Midwest US. So it's pretty, you know, predictable to do the weather there. When school is in or out, holidays, conference season, you know, if you're familiar, have a hospitality background, conference season runs from mid-January to May. Conference season runs from October to, you know, November. All of a sudden you got Christmas parties coming in. So you can, you know, predict some of your food and beverage, or you can predict the ebbs and flows of your golfers based on, you know, hey, when are the kids out for summer? When are the kids back for winter? You know, when are the parents going on vacation for summer vacation? So you can look at the ebbs and flows of when you're forecasting your business levels. Some factors, you know, look at as well when you're looking at your expenses and revenue. You know, what are your fixed expenses: rent, utilities, salaries, insurance. Variable are labor, sales, and marketing, and cost of goods sold. The way to look at it: variable expenses are variable according to business levels. Fixed expenses are fixed. You need a building, you need to pay rent, you need to pay the utilities, you need to pay salaries. You know, you need to pay your general manager and your head professional, maybe your director of golf. Variable are, okay, we only got 100 golfers today. Okay, we're going to keep our outside services and our service team. We're going to keep that down to minimal today. We got 250. Okay, we need to increase. So labor is variable based on that. How will you determine your expenses? So there's a couple of ways you can determine them when you're doing your budget. For instance, if you looked at education expenses, you can do education expense based on a fixed amount each month. You can say, okay, every month we're going to allocate $300 a month and $3,600 for the year. Or you can say, we're going to do it as a percentage of gross revenues. Every month, I'm going to allocate 3% of our gross revenues towards education. Two ways of doing it. You can't change one from year to year. If you're going to pick your fixed amount, pick your fixed amount. If you're going to pick your percentage, pick your percentage, but you can't intermingle both. That comes down to accounting principles that we're not going to really go into. I think it's a little goes down a rabbit hole that we don't need to go down. Cash flow budget, also part of when you're doing your budget, is why is it important? Well, you need enough money to pay the bills at the end of the month. As you know, cash, I guess the expression cash is king. When you have it, you can use it to pay the bills. But all the credit card transactions, they're not coming in right, you know, when someone, boom. It's not like it's there in your account. It takes a little while to convert. And I'll give an example working at TaylorMade. When you order something online, like you build a custom club, we do not charge you for your club till your club ships. So we have to own all the items for your club. And then when it ships, then we take your money. And then eventually that gets into our account. So as a golf course as well, if people are paying by credit, you need to make sure there's enough money in the bank to pay the bills at the end of the month, which might mean, hey, you need a line of credit or whatever that might be. CAPEX, to touch on it quick, You got CAPEX and OPEX budgets. CAPEX, think of it, CAPEX is anything that hits the balance sheet and can be depreciated. Tractors are CAPEX. A new building is CAPEX. Kitchen equipment is CAPEX. New computer systems can be CAPEX. A company car is CAPEX. OPEX is what do we need? Operational expenses and capital expenses. Operations, what do we need to make the world go round? We need some, I don't know, proxies for tournaments. That's a OPEX. It's an operational expense. We, I don't know, we need pencils for the scorecards, or we need scorecards. That's an OPEX. We need it to operate the business. You cannot depreciate them off the balance sheet and decrease your revenue. So phase 4 review, we got to determine annual budgets based on goals, forecast monthly revenues and expenses based on internal and external factors. Sensitivity test, here's the best case, here's the worst case scenario if we do these two things. Also by doing that, you want to look at, well, maybe we're going to do this one over this one. You know what I mean? This decision here seems to make more revenue. Instead of bringing in new members as individual members, we're only going to make this amount of money. But hey, if we convert these existing members into social members, they're going to pay more initiation and our annual dues. We're going to get more money each month. So why don't we try to convert instead of bringing in new members? A versus B. So we have assignment 4, A and B, to look at. And so assignment 4 is assumptions. And here we're going to look at, rationale and then assumption. Rationale is because a new player development program for myself, is going to be implemented. Player development revenue will increase by $12,000 in year 6. So I think this is the one I picked for my assignment. There was no real player development program. So I picked a number, I think it was $1,000 a month, and didn't have a player development program. So the rationale is we're going to put one in. And here's the assumption is that we're going to make this much money. So they both, they go hand in hand. They fit with each other. Or if I go the other way, the assumption member monthly dues will increase $10 for family, $5 for individual, and $5 for social. And because of the increase of annual operating expenses, they go hand in hand. We can justify it. There's some, examples there for 1, 2, and 3. So once again, we're answering the why. And this assignment's pretty straightforward. Is probably the, I'm going to say the I'm not sure easiest, but the most streamlined of really most of the assignments. As long as you got your ducks in a row and you've built your cases from phase 1, now that you're in phase 4, you should be able to just get in, deliver this based on the information available. And then we move on to, from here, we got assignment 4B. Excuse me while I'm moving back and forth a little bit here. I got one of my 3 cats attempting to get on the on my desk while I'm doing this, and she kind of rules the house, so it's tough to say no, but I'm trying here. Let me see if we can make this a little bit bigger. Let's see here. View. Let's zoom in a bit. Oh, that's a little bit too much. We don't want 400. How about 125? How about 150? There we go. And we're going to move over a bit. So this is kind of, like I said, where the rubber hits the road. And let me move this kind of down here. So we got the, this is your budget. As when you're looking at from year 5 to year 6, where your numbers are being plugged in. You know what? I don't think we can go through this line by line, but I think coming back to it, once again, you have to look at where the numbers are in year 5, but then you do the, your analysis, and if you need the formula, I can assist you with sending you a formula on how to do this in Excel. That's basically what I did. And this is going to give you, there's the formula there you can see on the screen. It's the linear analysis formula. And that way I did the, the year, what was it, year 5 minus 4, 4 minus 3, 3 minus 2, 2 minus 1, divided by 4, or divided by, your number you want to get, and then divide that by 4. And then that's how you come up with your percentage of change. So the idea is on year 6, you need to get your percentage of change on what's happening. So it's going to ask you what's the forecast of change, and you follow that kind of formula of the, the linear analysis. And then some of the other items you can do vertical analysis, and that's when you're looking at from 1 year to the next based on the same kind of parameters. So when you get through here, like I said, what's important, you're going to see, there's quite a few negatives here. Here are the negatives of what's happening. Male members is decreasing, outside tournaments decreasing, weekday play is decreasing, total rounds is decreasing. I want to look at this as part of my assignment. Well, where's the battle that I want to choose? Do I want to increase male membership? Probably not. We got quite a bit of demographic. We got a lot of male members. Maybe I want to increase the women and increase the juniors, right? The ladies seems to be go up at almost 7%. Maybe we can increase that a bit more. So this is the part, like I said, where I say the rubber hits the road. You want to take a deep dive and see where is your maximum potential to make an impact in your operation, right? And hey, you can't make money everywhere. Just remember that everything is not going to be a positive. I forecasted some negative in instruction. It's going to happen. So, there are some places where you're going to have a negative number, and that's okay, as long as you can justify it. Now, choose your battles. Where can you make the biggest impact to the operation? This is that sheet where you're going to use to do it. And we're not going to, like I said, not going to go through all of it because we'd be here all evening, and trying to keep this within the hour. And let's go back here and play from current slide. There we go. So, once again, review, we're going to look at the annual budgets and goals, forecast the monthly revenue and expenses, run sensitivity tests, assignment 4A and B. 4B, which is that Excel spreadsheet, is going to take you a little bit of time. Make sure that those numbers reflect the goals, the vision, the annual operational goals. Make sure they reflect all of that going back, because that's the base of your pyramid. You're moving up the pyramid here, and those other items, 1, 2, and 3, have to support those numbers. So monitoring performance, we're at phase 5, monitoring 93 to 95 within the the modules, the handouts for the business planning. Well, it's important to compare actual numbers versus forecasted numbers, and really you got to look at, okay, here's what we wanted to do by the end of the year. Are you going to look at it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? Quarterly is usually normal. You don't want to micromanage the business, but you got to have some safety nets and checkpoints to figure out if you're not hitting your numbers, because you have to be accountable as the leader or the manager who's responsible. If you're not doing it, or if you are going to exceed them, I think right now probably everyone's exceeding their budget from last year. It's probably going to be difficult to write an annual budget for next year. And, you're probably going to reforecast is the way of looking at it. What you need to do if you're not going to hit your numbers, do you have to reduce expensive? Do you have to increase revenue? Do you have to decrease labor? Do you have to increase some promotions? How are you going to hit these numbers, or what are you going to do if you're not going to meet the budget? Because really, that's like I said, rubber hits the road. Metrics to use, once again, it goes back to rounds, yield management, revenues per round. That should say cost of goods sold, and I think I forgot to fix that last time, and I remembered. Oh, that should be COGS of percentage of sales. Gross margins, percentage of sales, your quantitative data. How are you going to get this data? It's going to be through your POS system. It's going to be through sales reports, your quarterly and annual budgets, your previous year's budgets. Like I said, last year, probably tough to look at last year's budget and forecast what was going to happen this year. If everyone's kind of in the same boat of either green grass, or you might be OEM or teaching, golf is booming. We got to ride the wave. A good way to keep an eye on what's happening within the business is do spot audits, secret shopping, stuff like that. See if you're meeting the goals from either a financial perspective or a service perspective. If you got an underperforming budget, you want to revisit the annual budget and reforecast certain areas, adjust some pricing structures. Are we going to offer deals, or do we have to increase prices somewhere? Do we have to increase revenue from promotional activities or reduce expenses? Once again, it's the middle. If we're not going to hit this, we can't keep this the same and expect to make more money. So if this is coming down, this has to come down. So reducing expenses to align with decreased or increased revenues. And assignment 5, we'll go back to here. Assignment 5, really, once again, it's one of the nice ones, a little bit straightforward. And it talks about monitoring performance. So what are your metrics and how are you going to monitor performance? You look at your primary and secondary, how I'm going to monitor if the business is successful or not. And then I have a tracking method. And then what's the frequency? I'm going to look at these, what are the tools in my tool belt that I can go into to make sure that we're keeping on track with the business. What are acceptable tolerances? Where's going to be okay if we don't meet these numbers? Where's the one we say, okay, you know what? If we're not going to hit it, at least we're going to be within this plus or minus variance. And what are the corrective adjustments? What are our actions, or what items can we action if we realize we're not going to meet the numbers? Here's another objective: tournament revenue, primary, secondary, tracking method, and merchandise objective. So basically this came back to my objectives, what I was going to increase, how am I going to do it, where am I going to see that happening, what's going to happen if I don't see that happening, and where can I go to? I use the bat belt. Where can I go to the bat belt? Where are my tools that I can draw on to figure out if this isn't happening, or how we can make adjustments? And teaching and coaching. So this comes back to the goals I set to drive more revenue for the facility. And then you put your synopsis on what's most concerning. There's some quantitative numbers to support that. So remember that you're writing a qualitative piece, but you need some quantitative information to back that up. And so that's important. And anyway, that's I think in a nutshell of all the business planning module. Now, if you're looking, play from current slide, it's 1 through 5. If you do have any questions, let me know. There's my phone number. I can offer my email as well. I think John has it, can email out to anyone. But thank you very much for your time, everyone. It's been fun again. As you can tell, I really enjoy this module. It's something I'm passionate about. And there's my cat up on the desk. Its head sliding into focus there. And once again, if you do have any questions, please reach out. Always happy to assist. Have a great evening.
Jeffrey, that was amazing. Nothing short of spectacular. On behalf of the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA, thank you very, very much for your time and sharing your expertise on the topic. We will be uploading this to the website, and it will be available on the business planning link for the summertime LaunchPad Associate Workshop. Again, thank you, Jeffrey. Colonel Tom, thanks for being with us this afternoon. I know it's getting kind of late there in Michigan. And Jeffrey, congrats on the new job. And take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeffrey.